I'm going to show you how to create a private app for HighLevel so that you can do basically whatever you want. The reason for context that I'm creating this app is I'm building an integration between a few different tools for a client, and he wants to be able to send appointment reminders from a different scheduling tool through HighLevel. Let me show you actually what we're doing right now. So if I come back to, and I probably shouldn't have closed that tab, but if we come back to this, so we have a scheduling system called ZenBooker, and what we're doing is we want to send reminders, like 24-hour reminder, 1-hour reminder, en route reminders through HighLevel so that we can have two-way SMS. Okay, and so the problem is when we go to do the reminders, what we're doing is we're comparing basically the start date to the current date, and we're seeing, are we 24 hours out or are we 1 hour out? This has a few problems, and also let me say, you can't add an appointment through workflows. Okay, so you can't make an appointment. You have to use an outside app in order to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can basically set up normal reminders. So it'll be like 24 hours before, 1 hour before, and then it'll just send the message. Because right now, this system isn't working. It's super hard to get this to be reliable. This 30-minute wait step is causing problems, and it's not accurate enough. So we're going to be fixing that, and that's why we're creating the app. So what you're going to want to do is head over to marketplace.gohighlevel.com, and then that'll take you, you'll have to create an account, and you should land on something like the app dashboard. So then you'll come over to My Apps, and you'll go ahead and click Create App. I'll just do Demo App for now. You can keep it as private, probably just sub-account, because it's just going to be installed on one account. And then you can do standard non-white label, because you're not going to be releasing this, so it doesn't matter. I believe you can leave this stuff empty, but then the important thing is to come down to Advanced Settings, Auth, and then for scopes, what I did is I selected every single scope except for the ones that the business requires. So this might take you a full minute or something like that. We just click, literally select all of these, because if you have to do something that you didn't plan for, you're gonna have to uninstall the app, add the permission, reinstall the app. It's just easier to select all the scopes at once. So then you're gonna need a redirect URL. I'll just do google.com. This really doesn't matter because you're gonna be the one installing the app, so fuck it. Yeah, you gotta hit save before you can select it, and then select that, and then create a key. So you can do a different key for each client. You only really need to use it once, but we'll just do primary, and then we'll copy. Oh shit! Wait. You have to. They don't remind you, but you have to copy the client secret here and store it somewhere safe, because it's gonna be gone forever after you after you create the app. Let me just check. So 071, and then this one is, okay, so that's different. Okay, yeah, so these two are different. So they have different client IDs, but the client ID you can just use within the app itself. So anyways, that is all good to go. I'm going to show you the app that I already made, so Do Everything app. You can't steal this name. I'm going to copyright it because it's badass. Go to Advanced Settings and Auth, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So I selected all of them, and then I had to remove about 10 because I kept pressing save, and it was like, you can't have. So I have, something like, there we go. What the flip, dude? There we go. So if we do snapshots.read-only, and if we try to save, it's going to say location, can't use this. So we don't need it. So I'll just hit save. I'll remove it and hit save, and then, yeah, you'll be good to go. So I'll make sure to select that redirect URL, and then we have our client. And the way you're going to install this app is you're going to come over to your CRM and head over to App Marketplace, and then go to your URL bar and tack on / paste in your client ID, and then remove this last part. So there's a dash, and then there's some other text, and you're just going to remove that stuff and press enter. And so that gives you your app ID, and that app ID is what's going to allow you to actually pull up your app here. So now all we have to do is click install. It's going to show you all those permissions that we just added, and it's going to redirect you to your redirect URL, again, this doesn't really matter as long as they're not redirecting you again, because when you open this URL bar, you're going to have a code here. Okay, see that? So question code. What you're going to do, just copy this code. Okay. So this code is what's going to allow us to get authentication for our app. Now we'll come over to HighLevel.stoplight.io, and this is their API documentation. And what I'm going to do is, okay, there we go. Now go to OAuth 2.0 and get access token. And so this API call is what's going to allow us to turn this code into our actual authorization to fucking make it work, if that makes sense. So the code is going to be, go in this code box. Authorization is going to be, it's going to be authorization code. So you can use this to refresh your token, which I'll talk about later, but you can also use it to redeem an authorization code. Now what we need to put in is the client ID. So that was this. And so that's the code that we just generated. Or actually, hang on. It's actually the one that I need to use from earlier. Okay, so what I did is I was just having to set this up. And fuck, dude, I forgot to remove this. I'm going to have to change this shit out. But regardless, you put in that secret code when you generate when you generate a key. So if we go, we put in the secret and then the ID in the ID field. So secret ID. And just make sure that you generate that key before you install the app. And then once you install the app, it'll be linked to this ID. And then let's test this out. Okay, so then we need user type. So I'm going to do location and boom. So now what we have is we have our access information. So we have the access token. This is what we're going to pass to the API whenever we create an API request. And then we have the refresh token, which is what we'll use to refresh this access token every 24 hours. And that's essentially all we need. So what I'm going to do now is I actually have a call that I have to take. So I'm going to take that call and then I'll come back and we'll finish setting this up. We are back. All right, so now that we have this information, I'm just going to copy this to my clipboard, and I'm going to come back over to the CRM. So this is the CRM that I just installed this app. So I'm going to go to, I created a custom value folder, and I'm calling it Do Everything App, and I'm going to add a new custom value. I'm going to call it Access Token, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're just going to put in the access token that we got. So this is kind of a pain because it's super long. But you just copy that. Oh my god. And hopefully I don't fuck up the copying. So copy that and then put that in there. And yeah, look at this. So now I'm going to do the same for the refresh token. Okay, boom. So I added access token, refresh token, and I also added the location ID because this is going to be helpful later. Now, what I also did is I created a new contact called Do Everything App. I'm going to put Do Not Delete. I might add a note just so we know. And what we're going to use this for is refreshing our token, okay? Okay, so I just added a quick little note. I could go back. By the way, if you aren't already watching this video at 2x speed, I highly recommend that. So yeah, just back to this, I put do not delete here, and then I put a little note just so the client knows kind of why this contact is here. Now I'm going to create a folder, and I'll just call it Do Everything App, and we'll create the little workflow that is going to keep our access token live. So I'll just start a new workflow, and we'll call this Refresh Access Token. And what we need to do here is we need to make sure that we call that client into this workflow. Dude, I hate HighLevel. Oh, there we go. Just kidding. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll add a wait step here. And what we want to do is, yeah, we can do that. Oh, okay, so we'll go wait 18 hours. Because the token is going to expire after 24 hours, so we might as well just make it a little bit under that. So we'll go every 18 hours is when we will refresh this stuff. Then we're going to go make a webhook request. So we'll do custom webhook. Because let me show you how this works. So what we do is we have a get access token API that we just called. And what we'll do is instead of using authorization code, we'll do refresh token. We'll pass in the refresh token here, and then that will give us back a new object just like this with our brand new access token, which is now live, okay, and a brand new refresh token. So I'll go back to this, and we just want to take basically this this fetch request. So we'll copy this URL, and we'll come back to this webhook, and I believe it was a post request, and the URL is going to be that. The authorization is going to be bearer token, and the bearer token is going to be our custom bearer token. So do everything app access token. Wait. Oh, never mind. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, how does this work? Content type should be application JSON. So we just basically need to copy over the information from this API call and put it into our custom HTTP request that we're building. So accept application JSON, and then the body is going to be URL search params. Hopefully this works without, I guess we could probably do query params. Client ID is going to be, well, let's see if we can do it without the client ID, because I don't think we actually need it, but let's find out. So hang on. Okay, so I'm just looking at my code for my app where we're doing call recordings, and it looks like we do actually need the client ID and the client secret. So I'll add that to the custom values. But then we also have the refresh token that we're passing in. So I'm just going to come back here. I'm going to add this stuff to our custom values. So we'll go client ID, and that's going to be this client ID. Whoops. Client ID, and then also we'll have to do client secret, and that's going to be this. Okay. So, boom. All right. Now we'll come back here, and this is going to be, yeah. So client ID. We'll pass that in. Client ID, and then that's going to be, what the flip, dude? That's great. That is just great. Oh, content type, query parameters. I don't actually know. Anyways, let's hit save. Oh, dude. Why? Why is this up here? Oh my god. Okay, but we'll go custom values, and then we'll go do everything app. Let's just do this. Okay. So then that's going to be grant type. We'll just put that here. Grant type is going to be refresh token, and then this is going to be dot client ID. Okay. Then let's add client secret, which is going to be this one. Custom values. Oh, I don't think it's not here because I didn't refresh the page yet because I want to save it. And we'll do refresh token, and that's going to be refresh token, and client secret then refresh token, and I guess we probably need user type, right? Well, let's test it. Can I hit save? Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm just going to refresh this page so that we can make sure all this data is up to date. And then let's test it on our... Because what we're going to have is we're going to have our contact do everything app running through this workflow repeatedly every 18 hours. And that will cause this to run. So, okay, save response and then do everything app. Okay. So let's see. So what did it say? Unprocessable entity. Alright, maybe we need to move this stuff down here. Let's try that. Okay, boom. So what we did is I just moved this down to body. So when you're setting this up yourself, you're going to do custom event post method to this URL. Authorization actually can be none. And then content type, that, and then body is going to look like this. And I'm just going to verify that that worked. Do everything app. And then you just hit save response from this webhook and you can test it. And then you should get back a response just like this. And so it's actually weird that it worked because we just changed we just used our refresh token, so I don't know why it worked. But regardless, what we're going to do now is we'll hit redeem refresh token. Okay. And now what we have to do is we just have to update those custom fields. So we'll go update custom value, and we'll choose our access token, and that's going to be custom webhook response access token. Oh, you can't do multiple? Okay, do update access token, and then we'll copy this, and we'll do, this one is going to be the refresh token right here. Okay, contact, custom webhook, response, refresh token. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to add a little if-else here. I'm going to say success, and then we'll say yes, and that's going to be true when custom webhook status equals to 200, and then no, actually I'll call this status success failed. This is just a little fail-safe in case the API isn't working, and that's why we give ourselves the 18-hour instead of 24 hours, because this is a little buffer, because what we can do is we can add wait 1 hour, and then that's going to be 1 hour, and then we'll do a go to step, and we'll go back here, and we'll just retry it. So if that fails, then we'll just retry it. And let me double check. So so the status should be 200 if it's successful. And yeah, so hopefully that is correct. Hopefully it will actually give us a status. You know what? We can make this probably more reliable, but just going is not empty. So if we got back an access token, then we'll call it a success. Okay. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this down, or not copy. We'll move this here, and then, or not a wait step, then we'll do a go to, and we're going to go back. Yeah, there. So what we're doing is, as soon as we add our contact to this workflow, we're going to try to refresh the token. If that's successful, we'll update with the new values, and then we'll wait 18 hours, and when it's time to refresh tokens again, then we'll run this whole process again. But if it fails, then we're going to wait an hour, and then we're going to just try to refresh again. So we'll get 6 attempts if their API is down or if something is going wrong. So now what we can do is I'm going to choose do everything app, and I'm going to test this guy. So we'll hit run test, and then we should see, so it's running the process, and now that was successful, so it's waiting 18 hours. And what we should see is that our access token is now updated, and it's new. So that is the refresh workflow. From this point on, you can make custom API calls to actually set everything up using your custom app. And so in the next part of this video, I'm gonna show you how you can actually run custom requests. All right. Now, if you remember earlier, we were trying to basically book appointments through our app. So what we have is, where is it? Is that on the next page? Oh yeah, ZenBooker events. So whenever a job is scheduled, what we want to do is we want to create an event in our calendar and then have it send reminders to that person. So the thing is, we will put in a HTTP request to schedule an appointment through HighLevel using the API, and then we'll have a separate workflow that'll send reminders for that event that we created. So what we're going to do is, well, we should start by looking at the API documentation. So if we come over to calendars, somewhere in here. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, this is the webhook that we're receiving from our scheduling software, and it looks like we have a UTC time for the start date and the end date. And then if we come back to their API for the calendar for create appointment, they want a location ID. That's easy to remember. We stored that earlier. The calendar ID, I'm going to have to list that. Contact ID, yep, we'll have that when they come in. And then the start time and end time, that's what we were just looking at. So these are universal, or these kind of look like UTC times, but we can just pass in the time that we got and it should work. Then we can add a title, we can add a status, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, we'll be able to run this with basically one API call. Now it's going to be a bit different with cancellations and rescheduling, but I'll handle that later. In this part, we'll just go through creating the request. So what I'm going to do is, we do have to get the calendar ID. So let's go calendars, get calendars. So I'm actually just going to use Postman for this. Postman is a free tool for making HTTP requests just to test out APIs. Oh, well, actually, we might be able to use this. Looks like group ID is not required. So let me grab the information that we need. Okay, so that worked. I changed out my API token just so, and client secret and stuff, just so I don't get hacked by you guys. But the reason I said I was going to use Postman, sometimes this little panel here doesn't work because the HighLevel APIs, you know, it's imperfect, so sometimes there's problems. But what we can see is a list of all the calendars. So I'm just going to find that one I created and grab the ID, and then we'll be able to use that to get everything working. Okay, so boom, here is the calendar ID. I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to add that back to our custom integration folder. Okay, so ZenBooker calendar ID. And that's the ID where we're going to be putting in all of our requests. Okay, so I got that set up. Now we have start job reminders right here, and I'm just going to put this in here because that's what we're going to be running instead. So we'll go custom webhook, and let's take a look at this API request. So it's going to be create appointment. It's going to be a post request to this URL. So we'll grab that, and I can close this tab. So it's going to be a post to this URL, and they put a space there. Make sure to remove that. And the authorization is going to be a bearer token this time, and it's going to be our custom value do everything app, and it's going to be access token. Okay, so then let's just take a look at what this requires. So authorization, yep, we have that. It's going to be bearer and then our access token. And then the API version, we'll have to include that. So just version and then just that. So headers, version. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes this doesn't work perfectly. So it might help to look at this fetch request because these are usually more accurate. So they're leaving out in this kind of headers thing, they're leaving out that we also need to include content type and then also accept. And these are both application JSON. So that, accept. Okay. Perfect. Now that's the headers, and then the body looks like it's just going to be regular JSON, and we'll just include calendar ID and all this other information. Okay, so I'm just entering the stuff in. So we have calendar ID, location ID, location ID is going to be, and then we'll put in, actually remove this, and then we put in custom values, do everything app, location ID. That automatically puts the quotes around it. And what else do we need? Contact ID, start time, end time, title. Okay, so contact ID, and then that's going to be this, or no, it's going to be do everything app. No, it was contact ID, so it's going to be contact ID right there. And then start time, end time, and then we'll also have title right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to test this on myself. So I just sent myself the custom value for contact ID. And now the way to test things in workflows, it's not the smoothest that it could be, but what we have to do is we have to put in some of this information manually. So things like the contact ID, I believe, or maybe we just have to do the end time, start time. But anyways, let me try this. Boom shakalaka. So I couldn't get it to work, and it turns out, well, first of all, when you make a request from within the app, within like this thing, it gives you a terrible, it just says 400, like status code. But when you make a request through Postman, it'll give you the message that the server returns. So I had something wrong. I was trying to schedule an appointment in the past, which is actually probably wisely not allowed. And so it was telling me that I couldn't do it, but HighLevel wasn't showing me. So that's why it's good to test these things in a separate tool like Postman. And then, yeah, now that actually works. And we can come back to the calendar here, and we should see, what was that, 2025, February 30th, 28th, 2025. So I don't know if it'll update yet. 28, 2025. No. All right, hell yeah. So we can see our event has been created right here. And yeah, custom duration, pretty fucking sick. So now what we need to do is come back to our workflow. And in order to get the response back, well, there's a few things you can do. You can either check save response from this webhook and then do something with the response, which we are going to do. I want to save this ID. This is the event ID, and we'll be able to update this event in the future, so I'm going to save that to the contact. But then you could also do calendar, or what else? So yeah, I'm going to save the response, and in order to save the response, we have to test it on a contact. And the way you do that, you do save response from webhook, and then yeah, then you just select a contact to test against. But the thing is, it won't pull in, I don't think it'll pull in these custom values, or maybe we can test it. I should delete this appointment and then try again. But let's see what it does. Okay, so I'm just going to fill in these things that are specific to the workflow, and then let's test it like this. See if it uses the custom values. And okay, yeah, so it does actually pull in these custom values, so that works. But now we have, so what you want to do is you don't want to press save immediately. Now that it's succeeded, I'm going to press undo. I'm going to put all these custom values back because we don't want to send it with hard-coded data. But if I press save action, now what we can do is we can use that data that we've stored, because we're storing, you know, the event ID, calendar ID, whatever, all this stuff. And now we can use that when we go to create and update things. So that's the video. Hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, I mean, I know I don't look like that much of an expert, and frankly, the API is always a little bit confusing. It's kind of, you know, it's not the easiest API to use, but that's fucking sick, right? Because now we don't have to use Zapier, we don't have to use anything else, and we're creating appointments through workflows in HighLevel. So smash that button.